Okay, hey guys, let me get my bearings here. Hey Texas, I'm really liking these modifications to the Rainbow Eyes song. So we got curly fries. Actually, I wish I had some curly fries right now. Uh, hey Darren, um, I'm glad you two are in here. Hopefully, we'll have some other people join us here shortly. As usual, I'm gonna kind of BS a little bit and then I will get started with the topic of discussion for tonight, which is the second week of Argento versus Fulci. And I'm really looking forward to this because I am eagerly anticipating the discussion that's going to be around several of these movies and the comparisons of them because I'll be honest with you, it's going to be tough for me on at least two, maybe three of these to say which one I think is the best of the two. Um, so I do have I've taken some medication for it. Of course, as usual, my fevers are kind of up and down. I've got a really bad headache right now. It's mainly, I think, because I couldn't eat most of the day because I was dealing with the employment work HR nonsense. Um, and so I'll just get that right out of the way, out of the gate, and then we can get that out of the way, and then I might talk about a few housekeeping things. And unfortunately, speaking of housekeeping things, my links did not. It didn't ask me to put my links in there this time, so I don't know what the deal is there. Um, but I will try to get that remedied before the next stream. Um, but when I get that fixed, there of course is links to my Deadites on Deck Facebook page, my Evil Dead Chick slash Deadites on Deck channel on YouTube, my Etsy shop, which I promise, guys, I promise to put some new items up there. But due to the complications with my work, I have not been able to work on those things. This past 3-day weekend we had would have been an ultimate opportunity to be able to do that. Um, yeah, Darren, exactly. So some of these, I got to show that comment. Some of these are going to be like picking your favorite child. It's going to be that hard. Yeah, it is definitely going to be that difficult. Um, but I do again want to apologize for not having those new items up on the Etsy shop. But here's the deal. The further adventures of Dana versus Stockyards HR department, I guess is what we'll call this. Um, because I did talk to two different attorneys' offices today. They basically said they couldn't take my case and or I didn't have a case or it would be very difficult to prove some of these things. So I'm going to try a third attorney possibly tomorrow. And if they tell me they can help me, I guess I should do what Steve said and just drop the whole attorney thing. But I did hear back from the head of HR, and they basically said, they were sorry that I felt like I was being retaliated against. Basically, their whole thing about telling me to return to the office was in regards to my mental health issues. Um, in which turn, I told them that you didn't leave me any indication of what it was for. You told me that I was expected to return to the office Tuesday or I had to take leave. I got a message from my supervisor early this morning telling me that the head of HR said that I was permitted to work from home today. But I thought, screw that. I've already taken a sick day. I've already got that okay with my supervisor. I'm not even going into that. So in any event, they said that I could continue to temporarily work from home, But again, this was not going to be a permanent solution. They sent me some more ADA paperwork to have my primary care physician this time fill out in regards to the long haul COVID. So I've got until the 21st of September to get that back with them. Now, the difficult part is going to be getting my doctor to respond to my request for an appointment so I can have her fill out the paperwork. The other thing I was scared of is that she would point blank refuse to fill it out. Steve says she won't, but I'm kind of worried that she will. That she'll, say there's not enough information for her to be able to fill out this for long COVID and whatever. But I guess that remains to be seen. Um, Texas, you say try Jim Cornette's attorney, Stephen P. New. The guy is supposed to be really good. Well, I don't know. I probably wouldn't stand a chance in hell of getting Jim Cornette's attorney. But thank you, Texas, for the suggestion. I did check with, I think, James Howe, and I talked to, I believe it's his son, Isaiah, and I got nowhere with that guy basically. And you could tell by the end of the conversation, the guy was wanting to get off the phone with me. So I thought, hey, okay. Um, and then I contacted Morgan and Morgan, where I waited on the phone for 20 minutes before a customer service support person got with me. Then the guy kept me on the phone for 45 minutes. This guy was obviously working from home because I could hear kids screaming in the background. But anyway, he kept me on the phone for 45 minutes, asking me questions about everything. I answered all of his questions. And then after 45 freaking minutes, he comes back and says they're not eligible to take, they can't take my case, and gives me a website to go to. So I was able to find a third attorney that I'm going to try to contact tomorrow or the next day. And then, like I said, if they tell me I don't have a case, then, you know. But I did hear from one of the places that I applied to that is remote, um, tech, uh, tech services or something. It's TEK. And I talked to a recruiter for them. He asked me to send my resume. I sent a resume and cover letter. He asked me a few questions today, and I felt like that I guess this is like a pre-interview thing, went pretty well. And I have applied to a few others. There was one in particular today, that I applied for that offers 70,000 to 100,000 a year for help desk support, 100% permanent remote. I'm just going to see where this goes. Maybe I'll get lucky. And if one of those things happen, then it's sayonara stockyards, because I have reached the end of my rope with the BS that they're feeding me. Um, Texas, you say, seriously advertises the guy all the time, so at least give it a shot. Well, I will certainly look into it, Texas. I don't want you to feel like I was laughing at you. I just figured that Jim Cornette's probably some guy that's got a lot of money. I don't have a lot of money, which is probably why some of these attorneys are not wanting to take my case, because they advertise and toot their own horn that if you don't get paid, they don't get paid, and they offer free consultations. But then when it comes down to brass tacks, if they think that you're not going to win your case, therefore they know they're not going to get money, so they're not even going to bother. So it's never about the person. No matter how much these attorneys want to seem like it is about the individual person, it's all about money. That's what the bottom line is. But I will look into that, Texas. I do appreciate you saying that. So, as it stands right now, I am temporarily allowed to work from home. So I guess I will be returning to work from home tomorrow. Um, so I just got to make sure that I can get in to see my doctor or contact her to have her fill out this paperwork and get it back to the HR department by the 21st of September. So that is that. And let's see, it looks like we got 9 people in here, and bless my heart, I only talked for about 14, 15 minutes about this job stuff. So I was told by several people in the chat last night that the video looks a lot clearer on StreamYards. I'm hoping that is still the case. Or StreamYard, I mean. Steve actually said, "Hey, TJ." Um, uh, Actually, Steve said he watched a little bit of my stream from last night, and he said it definitely did look clear. But before I do the pay for version of StreamYard, Steve says I better make sure that everything is kosher with either I'm going to stay with Stockyards or I'm going to go with another job and get everything stable as far as money before I start, putting all my eggs in one basket with new streaming software. Okay. TJ, you say, "Hi, gang. Sorry to hear about your friend who passed, Dana, plus the crazy work stuff." Thank you, TJ. I really appreciate that. And yeah, it was even when somebody has been really sick, like my friend Dave was, and the outlook wasn't good, most people try to stay positive and say, maybe he'll go into remission, maybe a cure will, come about, any number of things. I am a great believer in another being that created us and created this planet, etc., etc. And not everybody believes, and that's okay. But as I've told Steve, my belief in a higher entity is what has kept me from sinking into terrible depths of depression at times. And that belief in that higher power, um, although in every instance it doesn't come out in our favor, people still do unfortunately pass away of terrible diseases such as cancer. Um, but but I feel like that higher being is still there, um, and that he exists, and that he's watching over us. And that is the only solace I can have in any traumatic event, whether it's the death of a family member, a death of a friend, the stuff that's going on with my work, et cetera, et cetera. And again, I'm not asking any of you guys to believe, but it's just my belief, and it's what gets me through these tough times. And other people may, have to rely on other ways to get through tough times. And so I say, God bless you, whether you believe or not. Um, but I say also, whatever works for you, as long as it's not detrimental to you, your health, your life, or anybody else's, I say, go for it. Texas, you say kosher as Christmas. Jews don't celebrate Christmas, Tom. That's a line from Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Gotcha, Texas. Gotcha. Um, oh, really, John? I'm glad to know that now. But I mean, I didn't go with them anyway because they wouldn't take my case. But um, John, you say, I just joined, so I'm behind. Oh God, Morgan and Morgan, those fucking clowns, they're all over the billboards here. Someone once drew Princess Leia hair on the dad's billboard on I-65. Well, John, I was really desperate, and I don't know why everything has to be so. I didn't even get to talk to an attorney at Morgan and Morgan. I was talking to, and I'm not making fun of the guy because he's Hispanic, but I wound up talking for at least 45 minutes to a Hispanic guy who was working from home, giving him information only for him to tell me after 45 minutes that they couldn't do anything to help me. So I am fully, accepting any, possible solutions for an attorney. If any of you guys have any, Texas has already gave me one. If you have any possible solutions for a good attorney that you think could possibly be able to help me, please pass that information along to me. I will certainly take it into consideration. Um, And John, you say it looks way better with StreamYard. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's another acknowledgement that perhaps I need to stay with StreamYard. Wes will be overjoyed. um, Dirk, I hope you don't mind me putting your thing up, your chat message up there, because I really like this. You say, yeah, I have no choice but to believe. I've seen miracles happen, Dana. I had stage 4, and the doctors gave me 6 months to live, and that was 11 years ago. And Dirk, you are a great example of God's miracles at work. And I really appreciate you sharing that. As I said, I'm not going to try to force or browbeat anybody to believe, but sometimes we have experiences in our life where we may not start out believing. And I'm not saying this is dark situation at all, but sometimes people don't believe, and then something happens that they have no explanation for other than that higher power. And my friend Dave, he was a very good man. And I'm going to try not to cry here, guys. And he did not deserve this. But I know that Dave's at peace now, and that I have to accept the fact that God had greater plans for Dave beyond this world, this earth, this whatever. Um, Grander plans. And that doesn't mean he doesn't have grand plans for Dirk. It means that he knew that Dirk needed to stick around here a little bit longer, because his grand plans were for this planet right now. It wasn't time for Dirk to go to that other plane. And so the miracle happened, and Dirk is better now, and he's been better for 11 years. But my solace with the passing of Dave is that God had other grander plans for him. Um, and that evidently he had served his purpose on this earth, and that we'll see. I will get to see my friend Dave again at some point on the other side. Um, so I'm going to quit talking about that for a while, or I will be crying. Um, but thank you for sharing that, Dirk. I appreciate that. Hey, Blissful. I'm glad you joined us. Johnny says, sorry about your friend. Hope your job stuff gets better. LinkedIn, I highly recommend. Actually, the $70,000 to $100,000 100% remote help desk position actually came from LinkedIn, believe it or not. And I promptly applied for it. John, you say, damn, Dirk, glad you're here, though. Uh, okay. So, y'all feel free to keep on chatting in there. I'm keeping an eye on the chat as we go through this, but being as I am going back into work, albeit working from home tomorrow. I probably need to get a little bit of sleep, try to get rid the headache season up a little bit, but I want to make sure that I get enough rest so that I feel like functioning tomorrow. Um, but we're going to go ahead and get started with the movies. I did want to read and put Texas's comment up here. He says, "Well, to be honest, I feel that God put Blissful and I back into our lives." And I feel that God certainly does those things, Texas. I totally agree with that on all levels. Even though I sometimes get upset with Steve, um, I feel like God put him in my path. I There are many times when I don't know what I would do without Steve. He is my support system. And even though I get upset with him sometimes, that doesn't mean that my love has ever wavered for that man. So, anyway, enough with my mushy gushy stuff. I'm going to get started with our first couple of movies. Now, I do apologize that I don't have visuals for every single one of these movies. One, because the for for Two Evil Eyes, I do have a DVD of that, but I was too much of a lazy ass to go back there, way back there, and dig that out of my DVD collection. So, if y'all can bear with me for the fact that there are not visuals, excuse me, for some of these movies, then it will be okay. And I think most of you guys will be fine with that. So we're going to start off with the first Argento movie in our group. Let me see if I can tilt that forward so the glare isn't so bad on it. And some of these are Steve's copies. Inferno. And this is Steve's copy. This is the Arrow release with those nifty little case covers that they used to have for the Arrow releases. Now, I'm probably going to take quite a bit of flack for this when I tell you my thoughts on Inferno, because I'm not a fan of Inferno. I am not a fan of Inferno, and I've tried more than hey Manelect, I have tried more than once to watch Inferno and get some enjoyment out of it. And although there are a few set pieces in this that are great, um, I just don't feel like it's nearly as strong of a film as um some of Argento's other stuff. Um, I feel like it's a little overlong. I feel like it's a little slow. Um, it is 106 minutes long, so for the type of film it is, I just think that is a little overlong. Plus, like I said, the fact that it is really slow to me. Doesn't have enough going on to keep my attention. It's not like Suspiria at all. Um, this is part of the Three Mothers trilogy. It is listed as a psychedelic trip into gut wrenching horror. So I don't know. I mean, I was really excited the first time I got ready to watch this movie, but then I just felt let down. Um, so I'll read you a little bit of the plot. I'm sure the majority of you are familiar with the plot of Inferno, but just in case someone is not, we will read it. See, it even says after Suspiria comes the Inferno. Join Master of Terror Dario Argento as he takes you inside a world of surreal fear and bloody violence. As a brother and sister delve into a series of gruesome New York murders, it soon becomes clear that the devil is at work. A coven of witches are abroad, and they bring murder, death, and escalating insanity with them. Get fired up from one of the masterpieces of Euro horror. Get ready for Inferno. And Steve is a huge fan of Inferno. I mean, he wouldn't have bought this Blu-ray if he wasn't. Oh, John, is there AEW backstage drama? I mean, I like wrestling, but I guess I don't keep up on it as much as the rest of you guys do, or some of the rest of you guys do. So I wasn't even aware that there was any backstage drama going on with AEW. So, Darren, I'm going to put your comment up here. You say a rarity, Dana. We disagree on Inferno. It's one that gets better with each watch for me. It plays out like a crazy dream, probably one that divides fans. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with that last part. It divides fans, and I'm not saying that that has to be a bad thing at all. I'm just saying, yeah, I think that literally, you have half of the fans of Argento that love this film, and although I don't hate it, um, I guess the bottom line for me is I don't really get anything out of it. It just does not seem like an Argento film to me. And then some of you might be thinking, "What in the heck, Dana? What are you talking about?" Um, so TJ, you say the Inferno visuals are pretty nifty, which I will agree with that. And the underwater scene is fairly suspenseful. Okay, TJ, the underwater scene is one that a ton of people talk about. Almost everybody that you talk about Inferno with talks about that underwater scene. There is no doubt that that is a fantastic, visually stunning scene. But what I'm talking about is the overall um, movie itself. Because people might disagree with me, but one or two fantastically shot scenes do not make a great movie for me. Um, you say Mark might not be the best hero though, and I agree with that too. Mark does not seem like an interesting person to me. For instance, in Suspiria, Jessica Harper and some of the other main parts of the cast, they really keep that movie going and changing and twisting and turning. That's why I think Suspiria is a much better film than Inferno. Deep Red, although it's not part of this trilogy, but Deep Red has a lot more interesting characters in it to keep things moving along. Plus, you have those very violently beautiful set pieces as well. There you say, window cases are awesome. Texas, she said, Blissful says she has to charge her phone and she'll watch the replay later. She also said, nice meeting you all. Well, I always like having Blissful in here. I appreciate her stopping by. Um, so let me put your comment up here, John, for the people that are really interested in the AEW stuff. Really? So there were some comments and a huge fight and a brawl. It's a mess. Man, I'm going to have to ask Steve about that. I'm so shocked that he didn't say anything to me about it, because usually Steve's like all about AEW and how it's so much better than WWE and all that stuff, and how they have better management and all of those things. So wow. So who was the huge fight and brawl between, John? Do you know? Oops. Sorry about that. I'll go back to your other comment, John. Dougie said, I understood the Three Mothers trilogy better watching all three together in one sitting. Maybe that's what I need to try, Dirk. I've never tried doing that, actually. Um, John, you kind of agree with me. You say Inferno is all about the music. The story is silly. Yes, the music is phenomenal in this one, as it is in most Argento movies. But yeah, the story is sort of silly. It drags. It's overlong. Yeah, in my opinion, there's a lot that holds this movie back. TJ, you say his sister was more interesting. By the way, she was in the OG Pupper Master. Gotcha. Okay. And Darren, you say underwater scene top five Argento sequence. I will say that I don't think Argento really had an ending to this. I honestly get why people don't like it. Yeah, but I would agree with you about the underwater scene. I mean, I can't deny how awesome that particular scene is. Johnny say Inferno was pretty much Argento's jump the shark moment. LOL, in my opinion. Um, Johnny say I still like 80s Argento, but yeah, there's a split, a definite split. I agree. Um, Okay, John, so you say in regards to the wrestling stuff, CM Punk and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and total shoot off the cuff comments. It was insane. Like, you should fire this guy immediately type of comments. I'm sure he may get fired. Wow. See, I saw something. I was kind of walking through the living room and Steve was watching AEW and I saw something about CM Punk, but I wasn't really paying attention because I consider a lot of that stuff to be, set up behind the scenes, you know what I mean? And that I don't ever take a lot of that trash talk back and forth seriously. But in this case, it must have been serious. TJ, you say puppets. Sorry, LOL. Well, I thought you were just trying to be kind of cute, TJ. And John, you said then a huge fight and biting and a chair shot. I'm sure legal incoming soon. Wow. Sounds like it got bad. So you said it's taking over Twitter? Oh man. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I am totally shocked that Steve didn't mention anything at all to me about that. Okay. So y'all keep chatting in there. I'm loving these multiple conversations going on. It keeps things lively. TJ said, okay, then I didn't mean that. So, but I'm going to move on to the Fulci film to compare with Inferno, and that is the Beyond. This is my copy of the Beyond, also an Arrow release. I also have a Grindhouse version of the Beyond that Steve got for me as well, but I just pulled this one off the shelf real quick. Okay, now if I compare the Beyond with Inferno, for me, there is no comparison. The Beyond is, in my opinion, the better of these two films. Okay. And I'll tell you why. Because this has a great setup. Might not be entirely logical all the time, but neither is Argento stuff. And we know this by now that Fulci stuff might not always be logical, but There are fantastic, gory set pieces in this, from the young girl getting the shotgun blast to her head and it just making a big hole and her head going back and everything, to the zombie stuff. In some cases, I will admit some of the zombie stuff is a little weaker than City of the Living Dead, aka Gates of Hell. But I think this movie again works on all levels. Um, I will read a little bit of the plot line for this. Um, if your new business venture is sited on a cursed gateway to the hell dimension of the beyond, then maybe it's time to move elsewhere. But Liza, played by Catriona McCall, in another excellent role, in my opinion, is determined to make her New Orleans hotel work until strange things start happening, people vanish, and her waking thoughts are haunted by a ghostly blind woman who seems to hold the answers to the whole bizarre fever dream. As reality breaks down and the plot explodes, Liza must journey far from everything she understood and descend into the beyond. The Beyond is Fulci's zombie masterwork as he assaults his audience with shock after head spinning shock, all the while leading up to one of the horror cinema's most heart stopping finales. The Beyond drives sane men mad and leads others to murder. Dare you step over to the other side? David Warbeck is also in this movie, playing alongside Catriona McCall as the two leads. Um, even though I found out a little later after watching this that David Warbeck is was homosexual. He has since sadly passed away, I believe, from cancer. Um, Regardless of that, David Warbeck was a great leading man because it didn't matter who the woman was that he was working alongside. They always seemed to have chemistry. And there was always some kind of sexual tension going on. Even though you never see Catriona McCall and David Warbeck in bed together, I still felt that tension between the two. There was always a really thin a layer of sexual tension. And you could disagree with me on that, but I think it works in films such as The Beyond because you have that extra added layer. You have all the horror that's going on, but you also have the tenseness of sexual chemistry between the two leads. And I think this was evident not only in The Beyond, but with Catriona McCall and Christopher George in City of the Living Dead. So again, you can feel free to disagree with me, but I stand by that. Let's see. Darren, you say, I would have to favor The Beyond. It's Fulci at the top of his game during that magical golden period of, say, 5 or 6 years. Atmosphere, gore are off the chain. Totally agree with you, Darren. Totally agree with you. TJ, you say, I plan on being zombie Joe the plumber from The Beyond for Halloween. That is awesome, TJ. I would love to see pictures of that. Wish me luck getting the costume together. P.S. Beyond over Inferno. Okay. Darren, you said the acting is definitely better in The Beyond, which I totally agree with that as well. And the score is incredible too. Yes, definitely. The score is phenomenal in this. The music in Inferno is phenomenal as well. So I could, they're on the same level. But as far as a more enjoyable film for me, The Beyond has Inferno beat in spades for me. So yes, and Darren, as you said, the acting is definitely better in The Beyond as well. I would agree with that. So let's see what Dirk says here. The Beyond for sure skull drags, Inferno straight to hell. But as far as making sense, laughing my ass off, good luck on both the standalone films. Yeah, Dirk, I like that analogy. The Beyond for sure skull drags Inferno straight to hell. I really like that. But I do agree with you totally about neither one really makes sense if you want to sit down there and try to apply logic to either one of these films. But when I'm watching an Argento film or I'm watching a Fulci film, I'm not looking for logic, and I don't think you guys are either. So it seems like the majority of you guys are agreeing with me that The Beyond is a better film than Inferno. Um, Texas, you say Beyond is great unless you don't like splinters or you don't like spiders, right? Because that whole scene. Okay, let's talk about the spider scene in the Beyond. Since I was talking about spiders last night. Okay, some parts of it are hokey. I will admit to that, but when that guy falls off the ladder and he becomes paralyzed, and some of these spiders are clearly real spiders that are crawling on this guy, tarantulas. And then there are clearly these little puppet things that are just going back and forth. And when the actual like tearing of the guy's eyeball and is going into his mouth, those are obviously fake spiders. But what really gives me the heebie jeebies is when you see those real spiders actually crawling on this guy. There is no way in hell that I could have done what that actor did and let those suckers crawl on me. There's absolutely no way. Um, yes, TJ, it is easy to spot the fake spiders, lol. Um, Danny said the hokey gore always adds to the charm. Yes, it does. Um, and you know, I think any of us that have been fans of Fulci for any length of time know that some of the gore is going to be hokey. But as Darren says, it adds to the charm. And I totally, completely agree with you on that. Uh, John, you say, yeah, you got to throw out the logic with Fulci. It's the atmosphere. Exactly. It's the gore, the atmosphere, in some cases, the score. And sometimes it's all three, but don't look for logic with Fulci. And don't look for much logic from Argento either. Um, so I'm going to try to move through these a little quicker because I know that I went on for about over 3 hours last night. But of course, I spent about 45 minutes talking about work related issues. So I'm not going to be doing that tonight. But my throat is getting really dry and scratchy. But I'm going to attempt to go through these at a pretty even pace so we're not spending a whole bunch of time on one or just one or two movies. I've went on for 47 minutes now, and we're ready to move to the second film in this bunch. And so the next one, the next Argento one we're going to talk about is Tenebrae, and I get to show off my new 4K that I just got in not very long ago, which honestly looks excellent. But that's not really what I'm here to talk about. We're comparing Argento and Fulci films. So let me tell you, I've said this before. I'll say it again. Tenebrae is almost edges out. I think I've said this before. It nearly edges out Deep Red for me, and it's above Suspiria. I don't know what that was. Something fell. Oh, something fell out of my trash can there. You're Darren says you're killing me with this pair up, Dana. Sorry, Darren. Sorry about that. I knew it was going to be tough. I really knew it was going to be tough. Um, because Darren probably remembers what the Fulci film is that I'm going to be talking about. So it's going to kill a lot of you guys that are fans of both Argento and Fulci. But I still like Deep Red the best, but Tenebrae runs a close second, almost edges out Deep Red. And I have always been fascinated with Tenebrae. The way the shots are set up. Again, we have violently gory, beautiful set pieces for which Argento is known for. We have a great score. Um, we have, I think we just have great all around setups in this one. A whole bunch of twists and turns. Just when you think you know what's going on, it completely switches gears. And Deep Red is a lot like this as well. Also, some of the things that you see in the film when you first see them, as opposed to later on the film when they bring stuff back up, it's like, oh wow, how did I miss that? How did I miss that key point in this film? And Argento is a master at being able to do that, to be able to achieve that, where you're never sure that what you saw was actually what you saw. You know what I mean? Yes, John, Tenebrae has a very elaborate and creative ending. It certainly does. Full of, like, how many twists are there at the end? Like three? Uh, and maybe possibly four if you count one of the other earlier twists. So this one is just, you feel like you are on the ultimate roller coaster ride with this movie. You cannot get your bearings before Argento does a complete 360 and you're like, holy crap, what happened here? Uh, but that's part of the fun. And that's mainly why I love this film so much. And why um, it's probably oh heck, it's gonna be my favorite. Um, it was hard, but it's gonna be my favorite, I think, of the two. Um, John, you say I don't love the whole movie Tenebrae, but that ending is insane and well done. Dirk, you say Tenebrae is my favorite Argento, and I feel it's the meanest. It is definitely mean spirited on all levels. Darren, you say Tenebrae works on every level. Jallo, slasher, music, it's all there. It's above Deep Red for me, which might surprise people. It kind of surprises me, Darren, but not completely surprises me. Um, John, you say that's why Argento edges Fulci out for me. Like that shot of him standing exactly behind the cop as he rises up, and it's filmed so tight. Brilliant. Yes. That is a one of those shots that kind of makes you go, or it does me. It's like, oh my gosh, and you kind of have to take a step back at that point. Dirty said, love Deep Red, but gotta go Tenebrae. Gotcha, Dirk. I kind of figured you would probably go with Tenebrae. Um, Johnny say, I know it's not fair because Fulci and Argento are like vanilla and chocolate, totally different. Um, and I agree with that, John, but a lot of times people seem to throw them in similar camps, you know what I mean? And so as I said when I started doing this, and I know you're not asking why I'm doing this particular series, but somebody had said that they thought it would be good, and I apologize again for not remembering who brought that up. Perhaps it was Darren. I don't know. My brain is just terrible anymore, guys. It was probably either Darren or Dirk, I would imagine, that brought up like Argento versus Fulci or Fulci versus Argento. Um, and I thought, well, yeah, that might be a pretty nifty idea there. And in any event, that's why I'm doing this. Um, TJ, you say Tenebrae's arm chop scene is classic. I agree. Totally left field and gratuitous blood for funsies, kind of like the bleeding walls in Evil Dead 2. And you know, even in the first Evil Dead where blood is going all over the place and kind of running down the camera lens, it seems. Um, TJ, so one of the top things about Deep Red that puts it over is Daria Nicolodi's performance. Her character isn't as interesting in Tenebrae, but still loved her. Yeah, in Tenebrae, she's kind of pushed to the back a little bit further, which I think is kind of sad because I think Daria Nicolodi was a fantastic actress. Um, but I don't know if Dario did those things because he and Daria were having issues in their marriage or what. You know, I'm not going to pretend that I know what was in Dario's mind, but I think they did have a very volatile, I'm not saying violent, but a volatile relationship. Darren, you said that crane shot going through the outside of the building is amazing. I love that crane shot as well. Texas, you said Fulci is Chef Boyardee and Argento is Chef Gordon Ramsay. Dirk, you say, I feel Fulci has more range as a whole in subgenres of horror, not just Giallo, but Argento definitely is the standard for Jolly. I would agree with that too, Dirk. John, you say, laughing my ass off, Texas, I can't disagree. Dirk, you say, I mean, Argento is the golden standard. Johnny said, I always took it like Argento had distinct artistic idea and style. Fulci was kind of really like a really visual and talented director for hire who wanted to capitalize. And you say, just my take. Guys, I agree with everything that you guys are putting in here. I mean, this is the discussion that I hope that we would have. And I love it. I absolutely love it. That's one of the reasons why I love doing these streams. Even if I'm not feeling the best, which I'm feeling a little better now, the headache is easing up and all that, which is an excellent thing for me because I love to talk about movies. I love to blab about different things, and so when you have a headache, it kind of makes you not able to think good, etc., etc. So, but I am really enjoying this conversation. This is fantastic. So I say kudos to you guys, and you keep going with this stuff. Um, so again, I'm not gonna keep on and on and on about one movie in particular, but I will stress the fact that with this other movie by Fulci that I'm getting ready to talk about, it was hard, guys, but I did some soul searching back and forth before I came on this stream, and the Fulci movie pick to compare with Tenebrae is House by the Cemetery, Fulci's House by the Cemetery, which also has Catriona MacColl in it. But I love this film. I think it has great gore. I think it has great atmosphere. But Tenebrae has that little extra oomph that rises it up above House by the Cemetery. So, gonna give you a little bit of a plot for the House by the Cemetery. A young family moves from their cramped New York City apartment to a spacious new home in New England. But this is no ordinary house in the country. The previous owner was the deranged Dr. Freudstein, whose monstrous human experiments have left a legacy of bloody mayhem. Now, someone or something is alive in the basement, and Home Sweet Home is about to become a horrific hell on earth. Catriona MacColl, The Beyond, Paolo Malco, The New York Ripper, Ania Peroni from Tenebrae, Carlo De Mejo from City of the Living Dead, and Dagmar Lasseter from Hatchet for a Honeymoon star in this outrageous Italian shocker from The Godfather of Gore. Lucio Fulci, Zombie, Blue Underground acclaimed restoration of the House by the Cemetery, scanned in 4K, 16-bit from the original 35mm 2-perf camera negative, is now presented with Dolby Vision HDR and a new Dolby Atmos audio mix, which sounds awesome. And also, the picture quality on this is awesome. But all those things are also awesome in Tenebrae as well. Okay, so let me talk a little bit of why I feel like Tenebrae is the stronger of the two. I'm going to put Dirk's comment up here. Dirk said, here's a hot take. I would take Fulci's zombie films over Romero's. I'm prepared to dodge bricks. LOL. I promise I'm not going to dodge or throw bricks, Dirk. You are fully entitled to your opinion, as is anybody that's in here, as is me. Nobody will throw bricks at you. I won't let anybody throw bricks at you. And you know what? I totally understand that, Dirk. Because you know why? Because Fulci's zombies and Romero's zombies, in my eyes, are two different types of zombies. They're from different atmospheres. They move and react and do things differently. So of course, if somebody likes the vicious, brain ripping, bloody eye inducing zombies from Fulci, that's totally different than Romero zombies. Granted, in the later films, Romero zombies would rip intestines out and stuff, but it's not the same. They can't. You almost can't compare them. They're so different. So I totally get that, Dirk. I totally get it. Darren, you say, so House of the Cemetery edges it for me in my top 10 films of all time. A lot of people don't understand the ending, but the clues are all there if you pay attention. Classic, in my opinion. Yep. I mean, I think, I'll be honest, I think it took me at least 2 viewings before everything sunk in. But yes, if you really pay attention, the ending will make sense. TJ, you say, I like House by the Cemetery, but truth be told, I've fallen asleep to at least 3 times. LOL. Even through that annoying dub voice of the kid Bob. Yeah, Ask Tex is about Bob. That's why he wants me to make the goddamn Bob sticker and goddamn Bob shirt. Because, yeah, a lot of people don't. And it's not necessarily that they don't like the kid that played Bob. It's that they don't like that dubbed voice. And the actor has, bless his heart, he has repeatedly apologized for the terrible dubbing that was done with his voice. I actually I think I actually was at a convention where both he and the girl who played May in this were at. You know, of course, they're grown adults now, but you could still tell it was them. Um, Darren, you said the look of Freudstein and that score, love. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I think Freudstein is a very sadistic, horrifying character. And he doesn't talk or anything. I think maybe the most he does is like that, which makes him all the more creepy. The score is fantastic. Um, it's just like I said though, for me, Tenebrae has that little extra oomph that moves it up just above House by the Cemetery. I'm talking about like a half an inch above House by the Cemetery, okay? Johnny say, nah, Dirk, no offense there. I always prefer Romero, but Fulci had some wild ass zombies. Exactly. Uh, Texas says, House by the Cemetery is great, except for Bob, that little bastard. Um, Darren, you say, TJ, it's definitely a slow burn. Um, Johnny say, the only thing in the house I always laugh at is Freudstein's sex grunts. He gets into that stabbing LOL. I love it. Um, I'll tell you what I laugh at with House by the Cemetery is that freaking bat. Like, how fake is that bat? That, we're talking about the spiders in the beyond. But that bat, I don't know, that bat may almost have those spiders in the beyond beat. It's so crazy. It almost reminds me, even though I love Phantasm, it almost reminds me of when Mike get cuts off the tall man's finger and brings it home in a box, and then when he and Jody open it up, it turns out to have changed into this giant fly creature that attacks them. The whole thing of where it's supposed to be in the jacket and they're doing like this. I mean, the whole scene with the bat and House by the Cemetery to me is very reminiscent of that uh, evil little fly creature from Phantasm. Tierney's that middle-aged woman dubs his voice. It's just all wrong. It's all wrong. Um, TJ, you say, who got it worse, the babysitter in House by the Cemetery or the babysitter in Craven's New Nightmare? Hmm. That's a hard one, TJ, but it's been a minute since I watched New Nightmare. Um, so at this point, I would have to say the babysitter in House by the Cemetery because that death looked pretty bloody. John, you say it's a creative way to blend slasher and the zombie genre. Yes, it is. It certainly is. Dirk, I knew you would say that though. I figured you would be with me on the Tenebrae train. You say Tenebrae all the way for me on this matchup. Oh yes, I had forgotten TJ about the bat from Suspiria. Talk about fake, LOL. Yes, when we do talk about, well, actually, yeah, I've already talked about Suspiria. But if I talk about Suspiria again in another stream, we'll definitely talk about that damn bat, TJ. Darren, you say, John, yeah, it's a zombie slasher ghost mashup. Yes. Yes, there are definitely all of those elements in it. And I mean, I've never not been a fan of House by the Cemetery since first watching it. Um, but again, between Tenebrae and House by the Cemetery, Tenebrae edges it out. Sorry, Fulci. Um, so y'all again feel free to keep chatting in there. And we're gonna move on to the next pairing. And we're gonna start out with Argento's Phenomena. And this is probably going to be a difficult one for the majority of you guys. Um, when I revealed the Fulci comparison for this one. Um, what would Steve pick, Darren? You mean between Tenebrae and House by the Cemetery? If you mean that pairing, Steve would probably say House by the Cemetery. I'm willing to wager, um, because I just don't think he's that big of a fan of Tenebrae. I mean, he wasn't all wild and wanted to get the 4K of Tenebrae, but I want to say he did get the 4K of House by the Cemetery, but I could be wrong. Okay, you said yeah. So yeah, I would be, if he was awake right now, I'd watch him. But it's past Steve's bedtime, so I being as I've lived with him, been married to him for 9 years, I'd be willing to wager that House by the Cemetery is his favorite of that pairing. I will ask him in the meantime and get back with you on that, but that's my initial response to that. Okay, so we're going to talk about Phenomena with Jennifer Connelly. This is, again, an amazing film, in my opinion, on all levels. I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be my favorite of this pairing. Might be a little more difficult for some of you when I bring out the Fulci offering. But this one, again, is Argento in top form, in my opinion. You have the gore, you have the suspense, you have these horrific but beautiful set pieces. And you also have the introduction in this one of a main character played by Jennifer Connelly, who is able to influence insects. So, Master of Italian Horror Dario Argento is joined by Jennifer Connelly for a gory 80s classic in Phenomena, a terrifying slice of fierce cinema that mixes extreme violence, pounding metal music, a vicious chimp wielding a scalpel. I would disagree with the vicious chimp because I don't consider the chimp to be vicious. Not to good people, anyway. And enough buzzing insects to choke an entire school. Poor sleepwalking Jennifer doesn't fit in at her boarding school, and her uncanny ability to control insects isn't helping her popularity. With the aid of the local entomologist played by Donald Pleasance, you do get the inclusion of Donald Pleasance in here. Can she use her psychic insect skills to find the killer who's leaving her fellow pupils in bloody pieces? Argento piles on the bloody kills and surreal nightmares as the deafening buzz of a million bugs shatters your eardrums in one of the most demented body horror movies ever produced. Now, I don't know necessarily if I would call it an all-out body horror movie, but I do consider it classic Argento all the way. And in my opinion, one of his best. And the Blu-ray of this looks absolutely phenomenal. At least this Arrow Blu-ray looks phenomenal. Now, I can't remember if I've watched Steve's 4K yet, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the 4K at the time because I was low on funds, but Steve did get the 4K of it. Take that back. We didn't watch the Phenomena version in 4K. We watched the Creepers version, which I asked Steve, I said, why do you want to even bother watching the Creepers version? Because that's how I first saw Phenomenon, under the Creepers title. It was at one of the video rental stores I frequented. I didn't know anything about Argento at the time. This movie just looked cool. I did not know it was a cut version of Phenomena. Um, there were a lot of things I didn't know about it, but I liked it. But then when I figured out, oh, there's an uncut version, and when I knew more about who Argento was and what kind of movies he made and all of that, I was like, damn, I was missing out on so much by watching this Creepers version. So when Steve got his 4K, I didn't understand why he wanted to watch the cut version, because it's not like a case with Thriller, A Cruel Picture, and They Call Her One Eye, where basically the stuff that is cut out in They Call Her One Eye is porn inserts. Okay. So, in my eyes, I don't need that. But when you start cutting out, what Argento is known for, his set pieces, then I think it totally derails the movie. Maybe if you wanted to make a comparison, like if you're going to do a stream and you wanted to talk about the comparisons between Creepers and Phenomena, I could totally get that. But I was just confused that he wanted to watch. That was the version he wanted to watch in 4K. TJ, you say Phenomena. Talk about feelings Dario may have had for Daria at the moment. Exactly. Also, his other ex, considering what happened to Fior, Argento, and that, allegedly, LOL. Darren, you say, I don't understand why lots of people don't like Phenomena. It's a dark fairy tale, one of the best scores ever made. I love everything about it. I do too, Darren. I just, this is another one that I cannot find anything that I don't like about the movie. Has great characters. In my opinion, a great plot, even though it might not make sense 100% of the time. I think Jennifer Connelly is phenomenal in this. You've got Donald Pleasance in it. The score, as you said, one of the best scores ever made. And beautiful. You talk about the atmosphere, the scenery, landscapes, whatever you want to call it. All those things are just breathtaking in this movie. The twists and turns in this are fantastic. The first time I watched watched the full Phenomenon version, I had forgotten the storyline because it had been years. I'm talking years, but between the time I watched Creepers and the time when I revisited it and watched it under the title Phenomenon. So I didn't remember all those twists and turns along the way. So I was just blown away completely by this. I consider this at least one of Argento's many masterpieces. This one is just, again, a nearly perfect film. And feel free to disagree with me. I don't mind. I love this discussion that we're having about the movies. John, you say Phenomena is good. Nobody can call that film boring. No, they cannot. I challenge anybody to call that movie boring. And John, you say you definitely want the 4K at some point. Yeah, I still do as well. Darren, you said the Creepers version is worth a watch. There's actually 3 versions of this, including the international cut. Yeah, but I was just confused as why out of the 3 versions, that's the version that Steve wanted to watch. TJ, you said Connolly, Nickelodeon is a great villain, and Pleasance were good in it too. Yes, absolutely fantastic in this. Dirk, you say, I bought the Synapse 4K. Love this film. Iron Maiden, hells yeah. I mean, the music is great, fantastic in this, and there is a perfect or near perfect balance between stuff like the Iron Maiden music and the actual score in the film. They seem, in my opinion, to complement each other perfectly. Yeah, I've heard that Connolly wasn't very good in it either. I don't know. I really can't understand why people would say that. She was young, obviously, very young. Um, but I think that, again, was a true testament to what a great actor she was, that she could pull this one off as young as she was. So, yeah, I don't know uh, how they came to that conclusion. Dark, you watched two cuts of the three. So let me ask you this: which cuts did you watch, and which one did you like better? I guess is my questions to you. Darren, you said Flash of the Blade, Dark Love. Darren, you said again, people moan about the heavy metal. They're wrong. Yeah, I mean, like I used to didn't be a huge fan of heavy metal. Shh, don't tell nobody. But over the years, I've gotten a greater appreciation for the music. I still don't like things like death metal. But heavy metal, I'm cool with it. Hair bands, I'm cool with them. So, that is quite a bit different to me than death metal. Dare you say, hell yeah, Darren, Iron Maiden, my all time favorite band. TJ, you say her character is kind of subdued through the beginning parts of the movie, but I feel was how her character was supposed to be in comparison to later when it gets more crazy. I think so too, TJ. That's exactly what I was thinking as I was reading your comment there. Um, so um, I told you which one was going to be my favorite. Now we'll see if you guys agree with me or disagree, because I think this is going to be a pretty good conversation. And again, this is Steve's copy of the 4K restoration of Fulci's The New York Ripper. And you got that cool cover on there and all that jazz. Okay. I don't know this for a fact or anything. I would probably have to ask Steve because he is a huge fan of Phenomenon, but I've heard him talk a lot about the New York Ripper, and I almost would be willing to say, could be wrong, but that he might like New York Ripper better than Phenomenon. Um, I definitely like Phenomena better than New York Ripper. Um, I think mainly because it has a little more sleaze in New York Ripper than I like. Um, and it seems to um, focus too much on that sleaze. I, and I'm not meaning to say anything bad about Fulci. I'm just saying, compared with some of Fulci's other films, I think this is a little bit weaker film, in my opinion. Please don't throw bricks at me, uh, as Dirk said earlier. Um, but like I said, I think it concentrates too much on the sleaze and not enough on showing you the great visuals that Fulci was known for in the past. Those great gory visuals, and I think he was more, or maybe he was pushed to be more focused on the sleaze factor, showing the flesh of women, showing women being slashed and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that Fulci was misogynistic or anything. I'm just saying this particular film, and it is called The New York Ripper. So I know it was supposed to be a little more seedier, not as refined as Phenomena. You guys may tell me there's absolutely no comparison that you could make between the two. But I'm really not trying to compare two films that have the same subject matter. What I'm doing is comparing one film from Argento from the same year with Fulci, what movie he was doing that same year that Argento was doing his movie. Okay. Um, so TJ, you say I like both, but Bug Girl beats out the Killer Duck for me. LOL. Yeah, that was the other thing. The killer talking like a duck um, was a little bit overblown, over the top for me. It almost reminded me. You guys remember that movie Student Bodies and the breather, um, the killer duck voice. Um, sort of reminded me of the hokiness of Student Bodies in the breather. Um, and feel free to disagree with me on that, but this just seemed a lot more hokey than even your average Fulci film is. So, Derek, you were responding to the phenomenon question I asked. You say, I watched the Italian and international. I like the Italian version better if I'm remembering right. Dare you say another hard match, but I will go for Phenomenon. New York Ripper was actually ordered out of the UK on the same plane it came in on. It's Fulci's take on the slasher style that was popular at the time. Exactly, Darren, but perfectly put. But is it just me? Is it me just being a woman again since we have so many guys in here? Is it just me being a woman again, or do you guys actually think this movie is extra sleazy? I mean, am I seeing too? Am I reading too much into it? Doug, you say, can't believe I'm saying this, but New York Ripper is going to be my pick. It's a mean, sleazy, nasty slasher on steroids. Well, I wouldn't disagree with that at all, Dirk. I would not. Um, Danny said the killer duck voice was Fulci having a bit of fun, maybe a reference to "Don't Torture a Duckling," and it very well could be. And I do honestly, I realize that he was, having a bit of fun with the audience at that point. Um, but I still think it made the film a little less serious than Phenomenon since we're comparing those two. Um, Johnny said, I don't like New York Ripper. It's way too mean spirited, sure, good gore and all, but it's just not enjoyable. That's an interesting take too, John. You say best part to me is them blowing that dude's face off. Ha, finally. Gotcha. I got you. So let me read, since I forgot to read the plot of New York Ripper before we move on. I'm going to say someone is taking a big bite out of the Big Apple. A blade wielding psychopath is on the loose, turning the Big Apple bright red with the blood of beautiful young women. As NYPD Detective Fred Williams, played by Jack Headley of For Your Eyes Only, follows the trail of butchery from the decks of the Staten Island Ferry to the sex shows of Times Square. Each brutal murder becomes a sadistic taunt. In the city that never sleeps, the hunt is on for the killer that can't be stopped. So, let's see, TJ, let's see what you said here. TJ, you say out of context, love Student Bodies. Good mention, Dana. Click. Did you hang up? No, I just said click. Exactly. I think I may have talked about Student Bodies at some point in time on one of my streams, but I would love to talk about it again. Dirk, said, comparing the two, I have to lean towards reality versus fantasy. Gotcha, Dirk. Gotcha. Excuse me. Brandon's coming in here to visit me. So, moving right along, we're almost getting to the ones where I don't actually have visuals for all of them. And again, I do apologize. But the Argento pairing for this is opera. Okay. So I think this one's going to be hard for me because although I'm not a huge fan of opera, I'm going to tell you why here in a second. The Fulci pairing, I've tried to watch multiple times and just not cannot get behind that movie. So, opera, in my opinion, is another weak Argento film. And again, please don't throw bricks at me because I know a lot of people love opera. Um, it does have some great visuals from the needles being taped underneath the girl's eyes so she's forced to watch the murders. I mean, I like that stuff. I do like it, but again, I I feel like the movie is overlong at 107 minutes. I feel like it's slow. I just kept expecting the pace to pick up, and it never does. Or it never does, in my opinion. So, gonna give a little plot on this. When young opera singer Betty Christina Marshalock from Every Time We Say Goodbye takes over the leading role in an avant garde presentation of Verdi's Macbeth, she triggers the madness of a crazed fan who repeatedly forces her to watch the brutal murders of her friends. Will a recurring childhood nightmare hold the key to the identity of this psychopath, or does an even more horrific evil lay waiting in the wings? Okay. So again, I'm probably going to get pounded for this, but I think this is a great example of Argento being lazy and expecting things to propel themselves forward without much pressure from him, or much direction from him. Um, and I'm sure there's going to be some of you in here that are going to disagree with me, and that's okay. Uh, Opera is another one that I've tried multiple times to watch, hoping that it will get better, hoping that I will like it better. And I just never can seem to get to that point. Um, Dare you say, opera, I think, has climbed to my second favorite Argento film. I could watch this on a loop at any time. The scene with the ravens attacking the killer in the opera house is incredible, which I do agree with that. That scene and the scene I just talked about with the needles underneath the girl's eyes so she can't close her eyes. She's forced to watch the murders. Um, and as I hopefully said earlier, this is going to be my favorite of this pairing, even though I'm not a huge fan of Argento's opera. Okay. I mean, it does have some great set pieces, has some decent kills. Um, but I think the characterization is lacking. I think it's slow, and I think it's overlong. Um, so those are the three big points for me that make it a much weaker Argento film than some of the others. TJ said, I'm a broken record, but poor Daria in opera. LOL, her final scene is a gorgeous visual and is almost literally musical to reflect the opera music aspect. Yes, like I said, I believe that um, Dario and Daria's relationship was always volatile. And again, not violent, but volatile. And I do feel that Dario took out a lot of his frustration with Daria in the films. So, yeah, that is clearly evident. Darren, I will also agree with you that the music is beautiful. I think the leading lady just works really well in the film, and the two endings are fantastic. I could rave on, and that's okay, Darren. I love this. If I never got any pushback for the things I was saying, I would think, oh man, I'm not getting people stirred up enough to have a really good conversation. Perhaps I'm doing something wrong here. So this is great. Um, Although I don't agree with all of you guys on everything, and you don't agree with everything that I say, I think this makes for great discussion. Hey, Jay. Durkee said, I love how the Ravens don't forget what the killer did to them. Exactly. Texas say at TJ Frizzy, they film student bodies in Pasadena, Texas. I went to school with the girl who gets paperclipped to death. That's awesome, Texas. I didn't even realize they filmed that in Texas. That is a great bit of trivia. Dare you say bullet to the eye hitting the telephone? Love. Yes, that again is a great visual shot and another great set piece by Argento. I'm not going to deny that. TJ, you say, yeah, it's a bit slow in between the suspenseful, gory bits. I think the whole mystery didn't work really to me. You say, oh, that's cool, Texas. Like hearing BTS stuff like that. I do too. I do too. Yes, Darren, we did cover this on Eurocult too. And I can't remember if I said anything that alluded to the fact that maybe I liked it better than I'm talking about it now. Uh, and at this point, I can't remember. But Darren, maybe you remember and can clue me in. Oh, it's like the right hand don't know what the left hand is doing. Darky say opera is stacked with visuals and atmosphere. Well, I'm not gonna say that that's wrong. It does have those things, but then, like I said, the drawbacks for me personally is the fact that it's too overlong and too slow, and lazy directing on Argento's part. I feel like. Johnny said I got opera not too long ago. I like it okay. Great cinematography. Jay, you say opera, all the hotties tied up. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, I thought that that was the case. You and Steve were big proponents of that movie, and yeah, um, I think I just liked it okay. Johnny said the people in their idiocy with the killer drives me crazy, especially at the end. Johnny said I kept saying shoot the fucker. Okay. So, I think I also am not a big fan of opera. I mean, not I'm not necessarily saying opera the movie, but opera in general. I wouldn't be somebody that would go see an opera. Um, so I don't know if that pulled me out of the story a little bit as well. But I'm going to move on to the Fulci offering, and we'll see what people think about this because I have to say that opera beats the Fulci offering. Um, and the Fulci offering is Manhattan Baby. Manhattan Baby, I watched kind of recently because I did a Fulci, at least in the past few months, I did a Fulci stream with Uncle Bill from Deadfit. And I think if I'm remembering right, he and I kind of felt the same about Manhattan Baby, that it's slow and plodding and too long, and it doesn't seem like a Fulci movie to me. It almost seemed like it was ghost directed by somebody else. Just not quality Fulci, in my opinion. So we have uh, a child pretty much getting possessed after her archaeologist I believe, father breaks into this tomb or whatever, this Egyptian tomb, I believe. Uh, and it kind of alludes to something being like on an exorcist level, but it never makes it to that level. Um, and to be totally honest, I was quite bored with this movie. And I had watched it years before doing the stream, or many years before doing the stream with Uncle Bill for the Fulci stream. And I didn't like it then either. It would probably be, out of all the Fulci movies I've seen, it'd probably be my least favorite Fulci film. So opera wins out uh, basically by default in this case. But I want to see what you guys think about these two pairings. Um, let's see. I am going to bring TJ's comment up about opera. You said first saw opera on a bootleg VHS tape of the uncut version. You used to be able to order bootlegs in the later section of Fangoria back in the day. Actually, I remember that, TJ. Johnny said, I can always give a pass in most slashers because people don't know what's happening or it's a supernatural. But yeah, when it's just a crazy dude and cops have the drop on him but don't fire, I'm like, ugh. Right. Durkee say opera for the win. Yes, in this case, opera does win out. Jay say at TJ, multiple opera bootlegs with different endings and aspect ratios. Darren say Manhattan Baby, I've not seen in 10 years. It was okay at best. I'm sure I will probably like it a bit more now. I dug my old Blue Underground DVD recently, so opera easily wins. I think I'm thinking that seems to be the consensus with the majority of us in here. So I guess I'm not alone or completely alone in my assessment of Manhattan Baby. Durkee said, Manhattan Baby, I will say this. I would own it, and Argento has more worse films than Fulci. And I agree with that, Dirk. But I'm kind of wondering if, although, Fulci wasn't old when he died, but he did have a myriad of health issues, including diabetes, that more than likely contributed to his death. So I'm just wondering if he had been around longer and been able to make a few more films, how it would have panned out. I always wonder about that. TJ, you say Manhattan Baby is a weird one. Seems Fulci said it wasn't a good movie himself at one point, and he maybe did. I just don't really remember reading anything regarding that. John, you say you haven't seen Manhattan Baby. Well, unless you're really, really gung ho to be a Fulci completist, John, I would say you could probably live without ever seeing Manhattan Baby, in my opinion. But don't let me tell you not to see it. I'm just saying, if you're kind of on the fence and don't know if you should see it or not, I consider the fact that you're not really missing anything if you don't watch the Manhattan Baby. Okay, so the next two, I do not have physical visuals for either one of the offerings, so please bear with me. One reason why I don't have one of the offerings is because I was too lazy to go dig out my DVD. That's the honest truth. You say it's better than Argento's Card Player. I think I've seen Argento's Card Player, but it's been a while on that one. It's been a little while. But I'm going to have to watch it again because I'm going to be covering that on week 3 of Argento versus Fulci. So, the Argento pairing for this is Two Evil Eyes, which I know I've heard some of you say that you don't like Two Evil Eyes. I think even Steve has told me he doesn't like Two Evil Eyes. But if I have to compare it with the Fulci offering, I say Two Evil Eyes wins. And you guys can wait, or if you know what the pairing is for Fulci that I'm going to bring up. And I just watched the Fulci offering right before I did this stream, just so I'd be up on the movie, because I honestly couldn't remember seeing that particular one. Perhaps I watched it with Steve and forgot, because some things did seem familiar while I was watching it. But Two Evil Eyes is it has two stories in it. Argento and Romero worked on this. Um, it almost seems like they're Edgar Allan Poe stories, um, and I feel like this is like EC Comics cut in half. You know what I mean? And it almost seems like Creepshow cut in half. Um, I think the stories are good in it. And I think it has that old EC Comics feel, you know, the Tales from the Crypt, the Vault of Horror stuff, where somebody does something they shouldn't have done and they get their comeuppance at the end of the story. Okay. But a lot of people, well, maybe not a lot of people, but I have heard several people say that they don't care for Two Evil Eyes. And I totally respect that. But it is definitely going to have to be my favorite of this final pairing for tonight. Um, TJ, you say, by the way, the little girl in Manhattan Baby was a boy dressed up. I did not realize that, TJ, but that kind of makes a few things seem clear, because I thought that that child looked awfully weird at times. Darren, you say Fulci was notorious for not taking his insulin. I think the poor guy had given up before he died. He did see some of his phantom, but nothing like what it is today. That's sad. Yeah, I think that's sad too. And I don't know this for a fact, but when I did the interview for my blood type fanzine with Giovanni Lombardo Radice, he kind of talked about Fulci a little bit, because I asked him what it was like to work with Fulci, and he had a good experience with Fulci as compared to what the experience has been with other people, especially women. Um, but he did say that Fulci had experienced some tragedies in his life, that he suffered from some form of depression, and he was a little bitter about these tragedies that had happened in his life. Um, so yeah, it's I could understand you saying that perhaps he had given up on life before life gave up on him. Darren, I remember you saying that you thought Two Evil Eyes was terrible. Argento's Black Cat is really poor. It's like Bad Tales from the Dark Side offering, very cheaply made, not for me. And maybe that's why I like it more, because I'm a huge fan of Tales from the Dark Side, the Tales from the Crypt, um, all of that, those reprints of those old DC comics. And perhaps that's why I like it so well. Dougie say he must have left a fortune for his family, though, huh, Darren? I mean, with sales today, got to be some kind of royalties. Would be willing to guess that Antonella, his daughter, would get that stuff. She's the only one I ever hear about. I don't know if he had any other kids or not. Um, Oh, yes, I had forgotten about that, Darren. He died penniless, Dark. Argento paid for his funeral. And that is interesting, because I didn't they have some conflict at certain points. Um, but I guess Argento had made amends by that time. Darren, you say hopefully Antonella, his daughter, is getting some money. Yeah, I think didn't Fulci's wife commit suicide? And I'm not sure what happened to one of his children, but I was pretty sure that his wife committed suicide, and then he pretty much blamed the Catholic Church for that, which is why he's so hard on the Catholic Church in his films or some of his films. Um, so moving on to the Fulci offering, which, as I said, I watched practically right before this stream started, is Murder Rock. Um, and Darren's probably going to say, "Holy hell, Dana! Uh, you like Two Evil Eyes better than Murder Rock?" Yes, I do. I'm sorry. Um, Murder Rock for me seemed like a glorified music video. Cardboard characters. The only thing that I really liked about it, I mean, the kills weren't that great either. There were some naked ladies in it, so you guys might enjoy that. The music was decent in my opinion. I enjoyed it. Uh, but basically nothing else about this movie really stood out for me. The whole reveal was not really a twist. I'd seen it done many times before. And it just seemed like, I'm not really going to call Fulci lazy at this point, but he seemed tired. He seemed like he really wasn't into making this movie. Um, it concerns a dance group. It sort of reminds me of the dance routine in Pieces a little bit, only the music is better in this. And somebody is killing the members of this dance troupe off. Um, and yeah, there's a lot of things that just don't mesh well in this movie for me. Um, this movie wasn't overly long or anything. It's only about an hour and 32 minutes long. Just didn't work for me. Um, Worth maybe a watch, but I don't anticipate myself running back out there and watching it again anytime soon. Um, Dare you say it's just a massive fun, cheesy time? Uh, Dougie said, "Murder is very physical, lol. Don't love it, but all day, every day, over Two Evil Eyes." And I like this. I like this, Dirk, that both you and Darren seem to be, I don't want to say vehemently against Two Evil Eyes, but I like it that you're coming up with some good talking points for why you think Murder Rock is a better film than Two Evil Eyes. Um, I just I really tried to have fun with this movie, and again, perhaps I need to revisit it at some point. Maybe, maybe my perception of it was clouded by what's been going on with me lately as far as work and the death of my friend and all that. Who knows? Any number of things could have clouded my judgment of this movie. Um, Dare you say, interesting with these streams and the podcast and knowing what you and Dirk like. It's all good. Yeah, I absolutely love hearing all of your guys' comments on these movies. And sometimes you mention, well, a lot of times you mention things about the movies that I hadn't even thought of. And so a lot of times that encourages me to go back and rewatch these films, even if I wasn't a big fan of them the first, second, third time around. I will go, back and try to watch them again. Yeah, that is a great opening scene with the break dancing. Break dancing, and I'm not sure what other dancing that. I hope people don't get mad at me for mentioning the Cosby Show, but that's a show I grew up with, and regardless of the whole Bill Cosby debacle, I still like to go back and watch those old shows just because they're nostalgic for me. But there was a an episode of the Cosby Show where Denise's friends came over and they were showing their dance moves, and some of the dance moves seemed very similar to what I was seeing at the beginning of Murder Rock. Um, but yeah, that is a great scene, an entertaining scene, Darren, as well. Um, but I was surprised that I don't think Steve has a copy of it. I definitely don't have a copy of Murder Rock. So when I actually went back and rewatched it before the stream, I had to watch it on YouTube. But there is a great or pretty good looking transfer on YouTube if you want to go check that out. Um, Dargy say Barbeau's character in Two Evil Eyes seemed too similar to Creepshow. Yeah, I could kind of see that as well. Definitely. So, guys, I have reached the end of this lovely comparison between uh, five more Argento films versus five more Fulci films. And I would like to thank you guys once again for stopping by, hanging out with me for almost a couple of hours now. We still got 10 people in here. I'm not nearly up to the level of like Dead Pit, and I don't think I ever will, or some of these other people. Even the show you're on with Pop and the other guys, Dirk. I think y'all have a ton more people in yours as well. Um, let's see. Jay, you say Two Evil Eyes was Argento's first time shooting in the States, which usually trips up a foreign director. It's all right, but kind of broke my heart since I was pumped to see it in the theater back in the day. And Darren, you say Murder Rock and Killer Workout for a double feature. That that would be one hell of a double feature, Darren. Um, yeah, I may actually try that at some point. Coupled maybe with that one scene in Nightmare City where the whole dance troupe gets wiped out on national television. Well, thank you, Texas. You say this was awesome. I am so glad you enjoyed it. I'm hoping everybody else enjoyed it. I'm thinking that you guys did. So I want to remind you that next Tuesday, here is the ones that we're going to be talking about. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. I hope my week gets better too. Um, so for week 3, the Argento offerings we're going to have are Trauma, Stendhal Syndrome, Phantom of the Opera, Sleepless, and The Card Player. The Fulci offerings are The Devil's Honey, Enigma, Zombie 3, Cat in the Brain, and Demonia. Okay, so that is gonna be fun because I'm sorry, but there's some real stinkers in both of those groups. Um, let's see. Danny say Savini worked on Two Evil Eyes, which I was surprised as the gore was hokey as hell. Yeah, that is something that's kind of odd. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Darren. Well, thank you, Dirk. You say these streams are fun as hell, Dana. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying them. And Darren, you say, yeah, these are fun. Jay, you say Slim Pickens. Exactly. Darren, you say spoiler, but it could be an Argento Full House next week. Um, it's going to be close for me. I will say that definitely going to be close for me. But I'm really excited to hear what you guys think as well. Also, I still don't know if it's going to be Saturday or Sunday when I do the watch along. Because as far as I know, Steve and I are still planning on going to Horror Hound on Saturday. So I'm gonna try to get y'all up to snuff before the weekend gets here. If I can figure out something, I think I'm just gonna have to talk to Steve and say, what time do you think we'll be back from Horror Hound? Because if we're gonna get back too late from Horror Hound on Saturday, then I want to push the watch along to Sunday. Um, but we are going to be doing a watch along either Saturday or Sunday for Evil Laugh. I'm going to try to get a link together for that so that you guys can watch it on YouTube along with me, which is where I will be watching it as well. And also tomorrow, I'm going to be doing Cheese Extreme Wednesday. We will be talking about Motel Hell and New Year's Evil. So you can look forward to all of that both tomorrow and either Saturday or Sunday. And who knows what I may come up with for Thursday and or Friday. Derek, you say, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. LOL. John, you want to know who y'all meeting there? Well, unless I find out that somebody is canceled, I'm planning on meeting some of the guys from John Carpenter's The Thing. And also, I want to meet Ian McAuliffe. I'm really excited on Ian McAuliffe being there. And please, nobody tell me he's canceled because I'm really looking forward to that. Darky, you're asking who won this round, Dana, Argento or Fulci? Okay, let me get this straight in my mind. Yeah, I think for me, Argento won. I think it may have been close. It may have almost been a tie. But this was, I agree. This was a very difficult one, but I'm going to go with Argento. Even though I picked the Beyond over Inferno, but Tenebrae, Phenomenon, Opera, and Two Evil Eyes, I liked all better than the later Fulci offerings. So, yeah, I would say for me, Argento had to have won this time. TJ, you say, I have the Evil Laugh DVD. I'm special. Haha. I'm special too because I have that DVD. Do you have the hybrid Evil Laugh DVD? That may have been the only one that came out, TJ. They didn't do too many of those hybrid ones. I guess that went over like a lead balloon. Darren, you say Evil Laugh is a really fun watch. I totally agree. I'm looking forward to doing this can't even talk, watch along for that. Darren, you say Ian McAuliffe, awesome. I hear he's really nice. Yeah, Steve met him years ago. I believe at Cinema Wasteland. This was way before I met Steve. And he talked like he was really nice. I wonder if I should ask him what it was like working with Tisa Farrow, Mia Farrow's sister. Because, they had that one scene in Zombie on the boat where they were acting like they were making out. That's another pairing where it seemed like there was a thin layer of sexual tension between the two. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to meeting Ian McAuliffe. So with all of that being said, I'm about to get off here in case or unless you guys want to bring up anything else or ask me anything, I can stay on here a few more minutes. But being as I'm going to be working from home tomorrow, got to get some sleep, and I know you guys got to get some rest for work tomorrow. Darren, you say I should ask him about Matul. Yeah. And ask him about the zombie versus shark thing and all that. There's a ton of stuff I could ask him. But like I said, Oh goodness. I can stay on here a few more minutes if y'all want to kind of shoot the breeze for a little bit, or you want to ask me anything, bring up any suggestions for future streams I could do, because literally there's only so many Fulci and Argento movies we can talk about, and then I'll probably have to switch gears to something else. I mean, I would be willing to do a lot more of these verses. I actually have the stuff written down from the last time we talked about Martino versus Lindsay was one, Matei versus Fragrasso was one, which I would totally be willing to do. But Brandon just, hold on just a second, guys. Brandon just knocked over my little astronaut. Bless his heart. He's always getting wound up in my cords, aren't you, Brandon? I'm just glad it didn't break it. Well, for some reason I can't get that thing back in there. On that stand. I don't know why. Hold on, guys. I think because it was backwards. Huh. I'm going to kind of move it over a little bit. I hope he doesn't break my astronaut, because, I mean, that thing wasn't super, super expensive, but, you know, I'm not really in a position to be buying something else right now. Dirk, you say, do you collect VHS, Dana? I used to, Dirk. I have very few VHS left now, and I think there may be a few VHS at my mom and dad's. Um, there were a few VHS that I ended up giving to my mom before I moved to Louisville. Because one, because I thought she might enjoy watching them. Two, because I thought that they might be collector's items and I hated to just, get rid of them or just give them away to somebody. Two of those being Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 with those the original cover art. And I don't think these were cut boxes or anything. So I think my mom probably still has those somewhere. So I guess the ultimate answer to that is not really, not anymore. Darren, you say you got any future media releases you're looking forward to? Well, yeah, actually, hold on just 1 second and I'll be able to tell you, because I kind of need a reminder or refresher of that. Because I have a ton of stuff that's on pre-order from Amazon. I got a couple in today, actually, but I haven't had time to sit down and watch them. Today I got the Funhouse 4K and Blowout on 4K. And I'll have to get back with you guys on I'm kind of trying to get that light looked a little harsh. I'll try to get back with y'all on the actual quality of those, and if I think that you guys should purchase it or consider it. I am waiting for The Fog, which is supposed to get to me in another week or so, September 13th. Fatal Attraction 4K and Friday the 13th 4K. I'm looking forward to all those. I already got those pre-ordered. They will be on their way shortly. The Lost Boys 4K, which is coming in earlier than expected. It should arrive September 23rd instead of October 5th. The Fright Night 4K, Return the Living Dead 4K, Dress to Kill 4K, the new Happy Birthday to Me Blu-ray, the Ghost Watch Blu-ray, Night of the Living Dead 4K, Poltergeist 4K, The Army of Darkness 4K Steelbook, and Terror at 10 Killer Blu-ray. So I know that was a long ass list for me to be reading off, but I just wanted to be thorough. Okay, John, you say I sold 100 of my VHS recently and have 100 left, swapped out for more. Yeah, I used to have, a ton of VHS, but just slowly over time, in order to make room for other things, I had to get rid of some of those because, as you know, I would imagine, John, they do take up a lot more space. You swapped it out for more Blu-rays. Gotcha. Um, Darren, you say my VHS are all boxed up. See, originally I would have had way too many VHS to be able to box them up. Yes. I don't think I'm getting the steel book, Dirk, but I am getting the 4K of the fog, and I am certainly looking forward to it. There you said, wow, two great releases. Johnny says it's grease free, Dirk. Uh, TJ, you say, Dana, we have the same DVD version of Evil Laugh. Couldn't find the sucker, LOL. Yeah, Darren, actually, hold on just one second here. I'll give you more information on that because I was thinking it was Scorpion or something that was putting this out, but maybe I'm wrong. It's not going to be released until October 18th, but it's going for $20 on Amazon. Oh no, I was wrong. Kino Lorber is actually putting out this version. So let me tell you the special features in case you were thinking about this, getting this. There is a new interview with actress Tracy Bregman, a new audio commentary by co-screenwriter Timothy Bond, moderated by historian and filmmaker Daniel Kramer. There's 3 US TV spots, 1 UK TV spot, 2 radio spots, theatrical trailer, 5.1 surround, and 2.0 lossless audio are all available on this. Which I've said it before, Kino Lorber isn't usually heavy on the special features for some of its releases, but I'm interested enough to put the $20 towards this one. Doug, you say, I did just get my Arrow UK order today. Psycho 2, White of the Eye, People Under the Stairs, King of New York, 4K, Crash 4K, The Iguana with the Tongue of Fire, Bloodstained Butterfly, and Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. That's a heck of a lineup there, Dirk. John, you say, I ordered the Funhouse today. I'm taking it week to week on the new releases. It's pricey. Yeah, I really should, but at the time I was not having trouble with my employer, and so I was like, "Woo!" If Steve knew how many I had on pre-order, he'd probably furrow his eyebrows and say, "Dana, maybe you should cut back a little bit." Darren, you say, "Nice, Dirk." Well, guys, it is now officially 10:11. Oh, hold on. Let me read these. TJ, you say got the Fog 4K. Haven't checked out the quality to compare it to the Blu-ray. I got a laser disc that's signed by Carpenter, which is awesome. Waiting for the Stevie Wayne figure to come this year sometime. That is awesome too. Dirk, you say I'm waiting on Funhouse to go down. That's the advantage of not being a slip whore. Are you calling me a slip whore, Dirk? I'm not really a slip whore either, but before I get off of here, I'm gonna go run back and get those releases I just got in and just show them off a little bit. Oh, good night, Darren. Sorry I went on a little too long and you had to leave, didn't you? Um, or Texas, are you heading out too? Okay. Uh, let's see. Darren, you said The Funhouse and Blowout are two of my favorite films. Well, I'm going to show them off real quick, Darren, if you aren't out of here. This is Funhouse with that damn slip, which I'm looking forward to watching as soon as I can. I'm also looking forward to watching Blowout. This is the Criterion release on 4K. Again, I'll have to get back with you guys on the quality of those and special features and all that. Dougie said, "No, Dan, I'm not calling you that. LOL. I'm just saying I see a lot of people that have to have that slip." Well, in my case, or in my defense, whatever, um, I didn't go ahead and get it right when it came out because of the slip. I got it because I can't wait. That's the thing that I'm guilty of. I can't wait. Steve gets on me all the time. You just can't wait, can you? Um, Johnny said, I've gotten all the latest waxworks. Them fuckers got me by the balls. I think several of these companies have me by my proverbial balls, even though I really don't have any. Um, Terry said, I'm still here. I thought the stream was over. I thought maybe I rambled on too long and uh, got on your nerves, and you just said, I'm out of here. Um, Johnny said, I'll just buy and think about costs later. Oh, good night, TJ. You say good night, Dana and the Danites. Durkee said that reverse art on Funhouse is killer, Dana. Actually. Oh yeah. With the mouth, the up close of the mouth. I had to go back and look at that. Um, I may turn this around the inner part to have that other artwork. Um, Later, John. Thank you for saying it was a good stream. I do appreciate that. And with that being said, it is now officially 10:15. So I'm going to take that as a clue that I should skedaddle on out of here for the night. Try to get some rest. Take me a shower. Get me a little snack to eat. Because my stomach's sort of grumbling. So I am going to get out of here, and I will see everyone on the flip side. Uh, by flip side, I mean tomorrow night. Thanks, guys, for watching. I'll be seeing a lot of you tomorrow night, probably. Yes, I've got two evil eyes too. Texas. Thank you, guys.